So, have you told yourself that you don't deserve more, that you don't deserve more money because you're questioning whether you have helped enough people? Are you holding back on your own desires because you feel that you need to help more people, be in servitude to more people? Well, guess what? We're exploring that question. We're diving into that in today's episode, where we're going to talk about the servitude link and how that programmed story and identity has affected your money. All right, I am Tamara Temu bringing you another episode of Unleashed Alchemy. So let's get right into this episode. This episode is part of this money series that we have been focused on for the last 13, 12 now episodes. If you're new here, I invite you to go back to part 1 so that you can get caught up. You can also get caught up on this series by going to buy my book on Amazon. It is called Tales of a Money Maven: How Religious and Other Programming Has Fucked Up Your Money, which is the basis of this entire series. Also, if you are looking for more one-on-one support, I offer that support on a one-on-one basis where we work together over 12 sessions so that you can experience the spiritual liberation and the soul-fulfilled life that you were called here to live. Book a call with me so that we can talk about how I can support you on your spiritual odyssey. So let's get into today's episode, the servitude link. So let me tell you this. So growing up for me, in the religious cult that I grew up in, there was a heavy focus on serving, which was helping more people. Also, that serving message was also tied into how much money you gave, when you gave it, how often you gave it. So growing up, and this transferred into adulthood as well, into my early adulthood, I would see people almost competing to see who could do more in the church to prove that they were worthy of what they wanted, to prove that they were somehow more holy or more worthy of God's love. That was the whole message. And it was always geared around this servitude attitude where you never put yourself first. It was always doing more for other people. Now, you may be saying, well, there's nothing wrong with doing for other people, helping other people. There's not even anything wrong with giving other people money, and I would agree with you. However, when you take on that servitude identity to where now you're doing things because you think that you need some type of validation for your self-worth, or you're doing for other people, serving other people because of an obligation, some warped obligation, or because you're doing it out of guilt, now we have a problem. Okay, that is unnatural to your cosmic self. It is unnatural to your cosmic self to put yourself last. It is unnatural to your cosmic self to do more for other people than what you would do for yourself. And that is what I learned. That is the message that was given to me as I grew up in a religious cult. Okay, when I left the association, when I left religion, when I disassociated myself from that programming still carried on and on and on and on. So I was always trying to compete even with myself to see how much more that I could do for other people, to show that I was worthy, to show that I was a good person or a good human being. And it was always out of guilt or obligation. Even before I would use money on myself, I would go through all of this self-interrogation saying, well, you could give this money to this person? Or when was the last time you gave someone money? Or when was the last time you bought a gift for someone else? Should you be buying this for yourself? I would always go through that interrogation. I mean, right down to the purchasing of food for myself. It was always, okay, wait a minute. Have I done enough for other people? Do I deserve this food? Do I deserve to be doing for myself? Well, all of that was learned from religious programming. So let me read you a part from the book, from my book, in the servitude link section. So, from these modeled behaviors, I gathered that assisting others and showing no regard for myself was the only way to prove that I was worthy of anything good, including money. So, here's the next thing that I want to talk about. Going through my initial phases of my spiritual transformation, one of the difficult truths that surfaced was that the servitude sentiment seemed to apply mainly to women. Now, men, stick around. If you're watching this and you're a man, stick around because this still applies to you. I'm just sharing this from my experience, but it applies to all of us. What I noticed in the church is that the servitude link, it was always geared toward women, okay? And so you were considered to be a good woman or a real woman if you could just go down a list of all of these things that you could do for other people, including caring for other people's children, taking other people in your house, opening your door to anyone, giving the shirt off your back, giving your last dollar. It was always geared toward women. So what I saw was a lot of different women competing, because here's another aspect of that too. It was geared toward women, because if you were a good woman, then that also meant you were wife material. So you had all these women scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. What could they do in the church, and what could they help with, and what could they clean, because they were all clamoring because they wanted to be the next one to get married or to be chosen. That's where that comes from. Now, even when I was going to church, I thought in my mind, I never said this out loud, of course not. I thought, this is stupid. While I thought that in my head, I adopted that identity. In my spiritual transformation, invited me to be honest with that belief. Not to judge myself, but to be honest that belief was in existence, and it was playing out in my life, and it was playing out in my money experience. All right? So I was telling myself that I hadn't done enough for other people, so therefore I didn't deserve more money. Therefore, I didn't deserve this life of total financial freedom that I so desired, because I hadn't served enough people. Even with the first business that I had, I always told myself, well, if I could just serve more people, then maybe I could make more sales. Or how can I give clothes away first? Maybe I could do a nonprofit first. Now, there's nothing wrong with nonprofits, so don't send me any messages. But sometimes we adopt all these ideas about nonprofits or starting a nonprofit because we think that we hold an obligation to serve in that way. You can serve people, millions of people, and get paid. You can serve millions of people without creating a nonprofit, by the way. All right? So, back to the women, back to that example. So there was this unspoken competition between all of the women, who could cook the best, who is cleaning the windows in the church, who is vacuuming first. So you had all of these women trying to do all of these things because they thought that the more that they did, the higher the pedestal that they would be put on. Okay? So, now, this servitude mantra was rooted in seeds that are far beyond money. Now, like I said, helping and assisting other people, we know that is a noble concept. We know that it is. Spirituality teaches us that preserving humanity is rooted in how we treat others, among other aspects. So your serving other people is how you treat other people. You serving other people is offering your product or your service for a sale that is adding value to a person's life. That is serving. So somehow we have taken serving with not having money. The two go together. Because think about it like this. If you have a heart to where you really do want to do something that is going to help humanity ultimately, then yes, you're going to need money to do so, because it is going to take the resources to do that, to help humanity, to help us raise our consciousness. Okay? I keep trying to get off this example, but even in a nonprofit has to have the resources. Even a nonprofit has to have money to help the people that they're helping. Right? Okay, so spirituality teaches us that preserving humanity is rooted in how we treat others, among other aspects. So we have to consider our motives when we are helping other people. To help because you are attempting to validate your self-worth for what you desire puts you in a cycle of always having to prove yourself. You don't have to prove yourself. You were proven when you were birthed, before you were birthed. That is your proof. Okay, so we can take that bag off, right? To show that you are worthy of having anything good, you don't need to show or prove that you want to help people. You don't need to say, well, I always put people first. Okay, well, include yourself as people. You put yourself first. Because how can you help humanity if you're not helping yourself first? So I've always given you, I think I started the whole series with this example. So one of the hierarchies of, I don't know what you want to call it, hierarchy of importance, I guess I would say, in the church was God first, people second. If you had a family, it was God, family, then serving other people, and then yourself. You were last. That is unnatural. That is unnatural. So we have this programmed idea of this servitude attitude, and that money doesn't go along with that, but it does. How can you be effective in your service if there is no currency, if there is no exchange that's happening on some level? So think about that. So I want you to think about, when was the last time that when you think about doing something for another person, think about the last time you did something for another person, whether it was perhaps you brought them food, maybe you gave them a ride somewhere, maybe you gave them money, maybe you bought them something, maybe you bought them a card. Why did you do it? Did you do it because you felt obligated? Did you do it because there was some level of guilt there? Did you tell yourself, well, I really should do this for this person because they did this for me? Examine that. And again, we're examining, not judging ourselves. Getting to the root. in this way will get us to the root of how we examine money, and it will pluck up all the stories that we don't need so that now money can begin to flow in with ease, with peace, and with love. All right? So do that before the next episode. Let that be your homework. Okay? I hate to say that word because it has the word work in it. But anyway, so just I invite you to take up that exercise, gift yourself the quiet time to do that, and just see what comes up. All right, put pen to paper and see what comes up. Don't ignore what comes up. Don't tell yourself, oh, this has nothing to do with money. No, it's all a part of it. Because why? Because this is about identity. This is about the identity that you're operating from. All right, so until next time, cheers.